I despise, on a very personal level, the types of people who run around saying that maturing is realizing that Sharpay Evans was the misunderstood, real, true victim of the High School Musical franchise. That she wasn't the villain, that she's just misunderstood, that it's actually Troy and Gabriella. Because no, the only people who say that don't remember the movies very well because they're working off of childhood memory, are liars who like to lie, see themselves in Sharpay Evans, and don't want to admit that they are the problem. And those are the only options, because no, Sharpay Evans is not the misunderstood true victim. She is the villain 1000% for movies 1 and 2. And that is okay. It is okay to enjoy Sharpay Evans as a character, as a villain. She is undeniably fabulous. She's a great performer. She is so much fun to watch. This changes nothing about her also being an absolute menace, derogatory to her fellow classmates. And when I posted about this like a year ago, because I had just finished rewatching the movies and I was very upset about that running hot take, that unpopular opinion that is unpopular because it is wrong, it is factually incorrect. So many people got very upset with me in the defense of Sharpay Evans, to the point of it being mass reported for hate speech or harassment and bullying. I had to appeal that video with TikTok and be like, hey, this can't possibly be harassment and bullying because the person in question doesn't exist. That is not a real person. This is commentary about a fictional character. Please take my video out of TikTok jail, please, and thank you. And they did. It was appealed and brought back to the general public. But the fact that it even got that far. So what am I doing right now? Rewatching High School Musical. What am I feeling right now? Anger of the same kind. And I would like to address point by point every single argument that a Sharpay Evans defender made to me on that original video, because it was nonsense after nonsense. Some of them were just straight up, flat out lies. Starting with argument number 1, that is disingenuous down to its core, that how can Sharpay be the villain when she was so kind to give all of her friends summer jobs in movie 2? What are we talking about? Sharpay didn't give her friends summer jobs because they weren't her friends. She doesn't like those people, and she didn't ask for them to get jobs. She tried to get Troy a job because she doesn't know how to take no for an answer, and she doesn't want to respect that Troy is in a relationship with Gabriella. She tried to get Troy and Troy only so that she could be side by side with Troy all summer, away from everyone at East High, to woo him, despite knowing good and well that he has a girlfriend. The only reason, they say this in the movie, oh my God, the only reason why everyone else from East High is there is because Troy advocated for his friends to get jobs. Troy got his friends jobs. He said that he'll be there if all of his friends can be there. And that was the only way he was going to take that job. And because that hotel resort manager guy was told to get Troy Bolton no matter what, he had to abide by Troy's requests. Sharpay, if anyone recalls, was not only surprised to see everyone there, she falls into the pool after seeing Gabriella, but she also is so livid. Yeah! She was there is a whole argument where she is soggy and wet after falling in the pool with that hotel manager guy.
I told you to hire Troy Bolton, not the entire East High student body!
That she did not want everyone there. She only wanted Troy. She truly tried to bribe him into getting into a relationship with her. So no. And let's pretend like that is what happened. Let's pretend like Sharpay did choose to give everyone at East High in that whole group jobs. This changes nothing about all of her other actions in that whole second movie. This changes nothing about her actions in the whole first movie, because she's still rude and disrespectful to all of them. She helps arrange for none of them to be allowed to perform in the final thing at the end of movie 2, because she hates sharing a spotlight, which is her problem at her core. Then we get into the next big argument that has layers as to why it's so wrong and also a lie. That Sharpay Evans is so misunderstood because Troy and Gabriella are the real villains in trying to infiltrate her precious theater program, that she's just really passionate and takes theater seriously, and that she's just trying to protect it from people who don't even care that much about it. No, for many reasons. Number one, if Sharpay's whole problem lied exclusively with outsiders who don't even care about musical theater, she wouldn't have also been terrible to the people in musical theater. Like Kelsey. Like her brother. Sharpay is not only awful to people outside of the musical theater situation, she is terrible to everyone. To everyone. But also, yes, Troy and Gabriella did care about that program. And so many people push back on this sentiment, being like, they treated it as a joke, they were so embarrassed about it. And it's like, yeah, they're in high school. Also, let's take a look at the setting at hand beyond high school. There is an entire musical number talking about how when you are in one group, you have to stay in that other group even if you have interests outside of the group. It is a lyric in that iconic song telling each other to stick to the status quo. Stick to the status quo. That you don't mix groups, you don't publicly explore new hobbies that don't already align with like preconceived notions or stereotypes that go with your original group. Like one of the nerd girls popping, locking, jamming, and breaking. Or one of the skateboarders also really loving to play the cello. Everyone's favorite basketball star, Zeke, really loving to bake. Forcing people to stay in the status quo is not even something that's like exclusively tied to Sharpay, although she does like to enforce it as well. This is a school-wide problem. So yeah, Troy's like really nervous to pursue singing and musical theater because like, it's not this, he's a basketball player. His own dad is like averse to it. And Gabriella's hesitation towards it isn't even like really embarrassment of like doing the thing. It's just already established in her character that she has stage fright. In her entire character introduction, post intro song at the New Year's Eve party with her and Troy's asking her, he's like, oh, like, you're a really great singer, you must do this. And she's like, oh, only in the church choir. I tried to do a solo once and I fainted. So, like, she did try. And she still does participate in this realm in some way. She's just really shy about being on stage. Why should we villainize her for this? For the great crime of lacking confidence? Oh my God. But despite all of this, despite Gabriella's fear and also this new setting where everyone's telling her that pursuing singing is not allowed because she's really good at science, and Troy living in constant fear of being caught doing anything but holding a basketball, they both still try. They went to that audition together. And like, yeah, sure, whatever. You can be upset that they were still given a call back even though they missed the original audition deadline. That still is not the fault of Troy and Gabriella. That's your beef with Miss Darbus that you refuse to address. They came to the auditions, they got nervous, they hesitated, they missed the deadline, and they did try and plead their case for like a second, and then they accepted their fate and Miss Darbus left, or so we thought. And then they went to go help Kelsey because she fell down. And then they just started singing because they really liked the song. Like, that wasn't even an attempt at an audition anymore. They were singing for the love of the game. And Miss Darbus is so me. She was curious and like lingered in secret. But Darbus chose to give them a call back that they weren't even expecting. And also, okay, this is the other thing that so many people got confused by in High School Musical, where they were like, it's not fair that Troy and Gabriella didn't even make it to the audition, but they were just handed the role of the leads. No, they weren't. The final performance at the end of the movie isn't the show. It's not the winter musicale. It's the callback. This whole thing builds up to the callback. We are still in the audition process by the end of the first movie. We don't know who got the roles. Presumably Troy and Gabriella. But like, that would have been after 2 rounds of auditions. And how would that have been handing it to them if they auditioned? But anyways, despite all of this shame surrounding having more than one interest at this school, they also, after receiving that callback, work really hard on that audition, like work really hard on that callback. They're practicing all the time. They're always in rehearsals. In secret, yes. But that's not because they're just like, they see theater as inherently shameful, but like, it's because they're doing this on school grounds and they know that they're going to get flack from people. What? For pursuing this interest. And like, I'm sorry. I don't think very many high schoolers will willingly take on pressure from their friends who like suck in this movie, but I'm glad they got it together and realized that they sucked by the end of it. If you want to argue that the friend groups are the overlooked additional antagonists and villains of the story, by all means, because they are. But they're still working diligently in these like rehearsals, practicing and practicing. And this is when Sharpay gets pissed because they are taking it seriously and they are really good. Sharpay wants to be the only person in the spotlight. And it's like a combination of, one, seeing them as legitimate competition because they're really great singers, but also two, the status quo situation. She also works to make sure that the date of the callback is moved to a day that is entirely inconvenient for Troy and Gabriella because they have other events, like major events happening already scheduled. And you know what they do? Still find a way to do both. They still made it to that callback, which I think shows a lot of initiative and commitment to this musicale. Furthermore, it is already established that Sharpay is like really intimidating and scary and uncomfortable to be around before any of the audition plotline really comes in. She's an entitled rich girl with an attitude problem. She treats people like dirt. She's obsessed with Troy. And she clearly did not learn her lesson very well at the end of the first one when she continues to be a menace outside of school on vacation in the sequel. And Gabriella has that legendary moment where she's like, "What's the prize? Troy?" That was everything to me. But I just think this is so ridiculous. And it should not be increasingly controversial and debated to acknowledge that Sharpay Evans is the bad guy. I think some of you just find Troy and Gabriella to be like annoying, which is fine because they are, but I think a lot of you find Troy and Gabriella to be annoying, so then you assume that anyone that's against them is correct in everything that they do, and that's just not right. Sharpay also being aggravated with Troy and Gabriella also doesn't even stem from them being annoying. It's because she wants Troy and she's jealous of Gabriella. I also think what's throwing people off is that it's so rare to see in media the HBIC of a school be the theater kid. It's a girl who takes musical theater extremely seriously. It's Rachel Berry with really good fashion sense. And so I think the juxtaposition of it all, I think that's what trips people up. So then they assume that because they were bottom of the food chain or like they were bullied for being a theater kid, that must mean that they're closer in proximity to Sharpay and they find her relatable and she must be a victim in anything that goes on campus, and she is not. I cannot emphasize enough just how much she mistreats everyone around her, and how because these are children's movies made for the Disney Channel, that was made exceptionally, extremely, egregiously clear. These movies are actually impossible to misinterpret, and I'm so sick of everyone wanting a hot take just to go viral and be interesting. It's not interesting. It's just aggravating. It's like also my beef with whoever thinks that Ursula's misunderstood because she was just following the rules of the contract, that Ariel should have like read the contract or something. When it's like, yeah, that first of all, that was like a fucked up shitty contract to begin with, but also Ariel did like understand the terms of the contract. It's just that Ursula also interfered because Ariel was gonna be successful. Ursula turns into Vanessa in order to stop Ariel from getting what she wanted. Like, Ariel managed to find the love of her life with no voice, with no way of communicating. An impossible task to begin with, especially when we establish that Ariel does know how to write because she signs her name, so I don't understand why she couldn't have just written a note. We're not talking about that plot hole, though. And to this day, my flabbers will never not be gasted over the fact that video got mass reported and temporarily taken down. It's one of the great many personal injustices I've experienced on that app that I think is so stupid and ridiculous to this day. And that is all I have to say about that.